Let's talk about velocity banking for credit card debt. Hi, y'all, it's Molly, and I use my high interest, high balance credit cards as my personal line of credit to pay off my credit card debt. And this is what that looks like. So for this week, I had to hold back $300 for the mortgage and utilities. I had to hold back $160 for the phone and the internet because I pay my father in law. We are on his family plan. He pays that bill, we pay him directly. I had to pay $48 to finish out that $94 that's due on credit card 4. I paid 46 last week, so I had to pay 48 this week. $191 coming due for car insurance. $146 for credit card 5 and $48 to reload my Starbucks app. So that comes to $893. I want to reduce that. So here's what I did. I can't touch the mortgage and utilities. I can't touch the phone and the internet because both of those cannot be paid with a credit card. That's going into the family account, the $300, and then $160 is going to my father-in-law. But I do have some room to play here with the rest of the items. So credit card 4, the minimum due is $94, but I paid 46 on it last week, doing exactly what I'm about to tell you now. So I'm going to spend $48 on Starbucks this week. It's in my budget. I already know I'm going to do that. That's the same amount that I need to pay credit card for. So if I pay that $48 for credit card 4, I can wait a couple of days for that to come off my balance. And then I can pay for my Starbucks app, reloading that with that credit card. So what I did was I brought the balance down 48. I brought it right back up 48. So I have neutralized that card using just $48. I'm not having to pay for the credit card and the Starbucks. I am paying that $48 and that takes care of both what's remaining on that card that I need to pay and the Starbucks in one fell swoop. So then I have the car insurance and credit card 5 that I can play with. Instead of paying $191 for the car insurance and $146 for credit card 5, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to pay credit card 5 for the exact amount of that car insurance, which is $191. So I pay credit card 5 $191. I wait a couple of days. That $191 comes off the balance. I then pay for the car insurance with that credit card. The balance on that credit card goes right back up $191, neutralizing that card, and I never had to pay that $146. So if I didn't have to pay that $48 for credit card 4, because I used what I was going to spend on Starbucks anyway, and I didn't have to pay that $146 on credit card 5, that reduces my bills this week from $893 down to $699. So that's what happens with my bills this week. I log in the $699. Now, those are my multiple cards. So I just grab some cash flow, that $48 and the $146. I just grab that cash flow essentially. Okay. Metaphorically, theoretically, I just grab that cash flow. So reducing my bills this week from $893 down to $699. Now, on the other side of the worksheet is my primary card. So I have a budget for that. And this week, my budget is $335. And I got that number again from just looking at my pattern of spending behavior, going through my bank statements and credit card statements and saying, this is what we can do. We can spend this much on groceries, gas, and miscellaneous items. So we want to try to stay within that 335. So we have $1,034 is our break even for this week. So we got our bills down to the $699. We got our variable expenses are going to be $335. So our financial goal this week is we have to make $1,034. Our income is varied. We don't have a regular paycheck. So I put that amount in this circle. So I have a mental picture of what we need to make this week. Now, for the variable expenses, When I say that I use my credit cards to pay down my debt, I have a primary card. I am getting cash flow from my other credit cards just by doing what I just showed you, where I'm matching expenses and bills and using those expenses and bills as my credit card payment. Instead of paying for the credit card payments and those miscellaneous expenses and bills, the miscellaneous expenses and bills become my credit card payment. Therefore, what I would have spent on those credit cards is now sitting in my bank as cash flow because I didn't have to pay that out. So I have one primary card, and the primary card that I use is always going to be the card that has the highest minimum payment. Because if I use my primary card in the way that I'm about to show you, I don't have to make the minimum payment on that credit card. So what happens is the minimum payment due on this card is $252. That's my primary card. But because I'm making weekly payments on items and expenses I'm putting on this card that I would have to spend anyways, like groceries and gas, I no longer have to meet that $252 minimum payment when it's due because I'm making weekly payments. So my budget for my variables this week was $335. At the bottom of this worksheet is my ledger. So I total up everything that I spend on that card for this week, keeping in mind that my budget is $335. So I'm logging in daily to make sure that I'm, coming in close. Well, we went over budget this week with our gasoline budget. So we were over by $12.21. We actually spent $347.21 on the card. So that means we were over budget by $12.21. So we had that goal of making $1,034 to break even. And what we actually made was $1,514. So on Friday, we made $1,514. So on Saturday, I go to the bank and I put in that $1,514. Instead of paying $893 out in bills this week, we only had to pay $699 because instead of paying for miscellaneous expenses and bills and credit card payments, our miscellaneous expenses and bills became our credit card payment. So we were able to reduce our overall bills for this week from $893 down to $699. And so what that means is we had the $1,514 coming in. We had the bills now of $699. That means the remaining $815 is then used as a credit card payment on our primary card. So our balance last week on the primary card was $7,726.13. We spent money on the card this week, $347.21. And that brought our balance up to $8,073.34. So we spent $347.21 this week, but we made a payment this week as well. On Saturday, after the money went in the bank, we made a payment of $815 on that card. So that brought our balance down to $7,258.34, which means from the starting balance last week to the ending balance this past Saturday, we were able to bring our balance on this card down by $467.79. So another way to look at that is $1,514 in income minus $1,034 for our break even would be $480 that could come off the card. But we didn't meet our budget of the $335 for our variable expenses this week. We were over by $12.21. So when I take the $12.21 off of our, taking our income minus our break even, then we're left with the $467.79. Now, you may be wondering, well, if I'm not making those credit card payments over on the left side of my worksheet, doesn't that mean that I'm just adding to my debt? I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. Well, let me show you what happened. So you can see that the minimum due on credit card 4 is $94, but 63 of that is interest. And for credit card 5, $146 is the minimum payment, but 121 of that is interest. And so when I paid these cards this way, I made the for example, with the car insurance, I paid it down $191. I waited for that balance to clear, and then I put the $191 back on it. So I brought the balance right back to where it was. So I'm not adding any debt to this credit card. I'm prepaying for these bills and expenses, but I'm not adding to the debt because I'm not paying those bills and expenses until it's already cleared the balance of my credit card. So the balance goes down, I wait for it to clear, and then I pay that bill. So I am being charged interest, but I would be charged interest on these cards anyways because there's a balance. What I'm not doing is adding to that existing balance. So when I'm getting charged interest, the only thing that it's costing me really is that I didn't get to take $31 off of credit card 4 because $94 minus 63 would mean that if I made that full $94 on that payment, my balance only would have come down $31. I still would have been charged interest for the next month anyway. But what I missed out on by paying my bills this way was I missed out on balance on credit card 4 coming down $31. And I missed out on the balance on credit card 5 coming down $25. But the exchange is okay, so $56 didn't get to come off my overall debt for this month, okay? However, $467.79 got to come off my balance on my larger credit card for this week. So I lost out on $56 coming off the balance for this month versus $467.79 coming off the balance for this week. And that's the power of velocity banking. So if you have any questions, please comment below. And if you want to get this money tracker worksheet or any of my worksheets or any of the case studies that I've done on velocity banking for other people, the link is in the description as well as the pinned comment below. Thanks and have a great day.